My next guest recently predicted measles outbreaks in Texas could happen as early as the winter or spring of 2018 in a recent article published in PLoS Medicine. Let's find out why. Joining me now is Dr. Peter Hotez, MD, PhD. He is the Dean for the National School of Tropical Medicine at the Baylor College of Medicine. Dr. Hotez, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Now, you made this prediction in an article published in late October. What is going on in Texas that prompted you to make this prediction concerning measles?
Well, I guess I got emboldened by making predictions. I predicted Zika in 2016 and got that right, so I thought I would try it again.
All right.
Unfortunately, I'm predicting not for good reasons. Something really awful is happening in Texas. Texas is becoming the epicenter of what looks like some type of anti-vaxxer movement. We've had a record number of parents opting their kids out of vaccines. We're now up to 50,000 non-medical exemptions. These are 50,000 parents who've taken their kids off of vaccines and have signed documents so they won't have to get vaccinated in order for them to go into schools. And we've got some school districts and some schools where more than 10 to 20% of kids are not getting vaccinated. And once you get non-compliance in terms of vaccines at that level, we know historically that's when you start seeing measles outbreaks.
Right. And you also discussed in the article about this growing political anti-vaccine movement going on like in Austin and all that.
Yeah, and it's happening for reasons that have nothing to do with the science or nothing to do with anything we know about vaccines. What's happened is there's been a political action committee that's formed that's actually raising money for members of people running for the Texas legislature can run on an anti-vaccine platform, and it's happening in conjunction with the release of this new pseudoscience faux conspiracy documentary called Vaxxed, directed by Andrew Wakefield, who's now moved to Texas from the UK. So all of these forces are combining to spread a lot of misinformation, and parents are opting their kids out of vaccines, partly because they have this belief that vaccines are somehow going to cause autism in their kids, even though we know there's absolutely no basis for that. There's massive amounts of evidence to indicate that there's no link between vaccines and autism. Now,
you're talking about that the exemptions are going way up, so that's eventually going to affect the herd immunity. And measles is highly contagious. Can you tell us how contagious measles is?
Well, measles has what's called a reproductive number of 12 to 18. What that means is if one kid gets measles, on average they'll infect 12 to 18 other unvaccinated other children. And so what happens is, practically speaking, once vaccine rates drop below 95%, we start seeing measles outbreaks. This is what happened in California a couple of years back in Marin County and Orange County. And that's what prompted the California legislature to close the loophole so that they can't do that anymore. And unfortunately, that's not yet happened in Texas, and sadly it looks as though it's going to require measles outbreaks to wake people up in order to close all these non-medical exemptions. Yeah,
it was interesting. Last week I had Dr. Dorrit Rice on, who was a big factor with the California law. Now, you're suggesting the legislative action in Texas similar to what happened in California?
That's right, but there's no political will right now. This anti-vaxxer movement has gotten so strong and so powerful.
Oh man!
That nothing's going to happen. In fact, things are going to get worse before they get better. It's very unfortunate, but I'm of the opinion that it's going to take measles outbreaks to wake people up.
Wow.
And it's unfortunate because we have massive amounts of data to show there's no link between vaccines and autism, and I occupy an interesting position in that I'm head of a vaccine institute. I make vaccines for neglected tropical diseases for a living, but I'm also an autism parent. I'm 4 kids, and my youngest daughter has autism and other mental disabilities. And, it's clear from the scientific evidence of what we know about autism that it's a condition that begins in the first trimester of pregnancy.
Right.
So this is a genetic or epigenetic condition well before kids ever see vaccines. So it has absolutely no scientific basis. It's just made up conspiracy theories and pseudoscience.
Yeah. So, all right. So you're sounding pretty dire over there in Houston.
Well, it's not just Houston, it's Texas, and what I'm also worried now is what's happening in Texas is going to ignite something nationally. And you've heard about what's happened over the last week.
Yes.
On that front. So I'm quite worried that this is just the beginning.
Yeah, and then that's exactly what I wanted to jump into next. I want to get your thoughts on a couple of these things that happened during the course of the week. First was the op-ed by this physician at the Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Daniel Needes, I don't know how to pronounce it. And, of course, in the op-ed, he questioned whether vaccines contributed to the rise of autism and AIDS.
Yeah, I don't know what planet he dropped down from and look at that piece. It was just the most outrageous piece. I don't know what was behind that. I mean, there's no scientific basis to what he was writing. He was just offering an opinion, and it's just so bizarre from somebody who has such an important position at an institution I admire greatly, the Cleveland Clinic, from one of the great health sciences institutions in the United States. Well, I don't know what that's about. I just hope it was an aberration from the Cleveland Clinic.
Okay. Well, apparently, I mean, from some previous articles I've read, that this is not the first time he's done something like this. How much, and I asked my previous guest about this too, Dr. Adalja up in Pittsburgh. How much damage do you think an article like that does, especially with the Cleveland Clinic tagged to it?
Well, what it does is it emboldens the anti-vaxxers. So, what they'll do is they'll take that article and they'll put bells and whistles around it, and they'll then use this to say that what their anti-vaccine points of view have become mainstream, which is far from the case.
Yeah. All right, the second story that came out, and it appears that the president-elect, Mr. Trump, may have offered Robert F. Kennedy Jr. a position on a vaccine safety commission, which is the irony rolled over twice. How much of a problem do you see in this issue? Now, the Trump administration has denied offering anything, but just the fact that he's meeting with RFK Jr., how much of a problem do you see in this issue?
Well, the fact that the transition committee backpedaled on it and walked away from it is a good sign. So I think that suggests that it's probably maybe something that's not really going to happen. Mm-hmm. I think the idea of creating a commission on autism for this president is a good idea. I mean, I think we do have as I said, as a parent of a child with autism, I welcome the fact that we need to better understand the genetic and epigenetic basis of it, call for more research, call for more services for families. But one of the things that we don't want to see is any effort to tie it to vaccines, given the abundant data that we have. There is no link with vaccines. So I don't think we really know what happened there.
Yeah.
I think we'll know more in the coming weeks.
Yeah, but any connection to RFK Jr. cannot be good, based on his previous writings.
Well, his previous writings and public remarks have been scary stuff.
Yeah.
Comparing vaccines to the Holocaust and
exactly,
and all of this kind of thing. So hopefully, I'm sure he has a lot to offer. I mean, in terms of his knowledge about, he's an environmental scientist, and not scientist, but he has an interest in environmental law, but not in this role. We certainly don't want to have that role.
Very good.
Who knows what the Trump administration, who knows what the president-elect was doing by meeting with him? Maybe he was a matter of meeting with the Kennedy family and getting acquainted with the Kennedy family, and this came up. I don't think we really have any transparency.
Right. There's still a lot of unknown there, that's for sure.
Right.
Okay. Well, Dr. Peter Hotez, thank you, sir, for your time and expertise once again.
Sure. Always a pleasure to be